What if death? What if it isn't the final stop we've always assumed it is? Today we're doing a deep dive into some really provocative work. It's from Associate Professor Sam Parnia at NYU Langone. He's making this incredible claim that modern medicine is basically rewriting the rule book on death. He even calls it death reversal. So our mission here is to unpack the science, the sources telling this story, showing how the line between life and death is getting, well, blurry, and maybe think about what that means for you. Okay, let's unpack this core idea from Parnia, because honestly, it's kind of mind-bending. He's saying death isn't just bam, lights out, irreversible. He actually sees it as an injury process, like something that, if you have the right conditions, maybe you can reverse it. He even says the idea of death being totally final is simply a social convention.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating there is just how huge a shift that is. Philosophically, scientifically, we're moving away from thinking of death as this absolute endpoint towards seeing it as, well, a process, a dynamic thing, maybe even treatable. It just opens up possibilities for treatments that, frankly, seemed like science fiction not long ago.
Right. So if it is a process, the big question is, how long does that process last?
Yeah.
Before it's really, truly game over. And Parnia's lab is finding some pretty stunning answers. I mean, findings from his team and others, too, over the last, say, 5 years. They suggest the human brain might stay salvageable for hours, maybe even days after clinical death. There was this one study, 2024, from his lab, really a landmark. Get this, 40% of cardiac arrest patients showed brain activity that was close to normal, up to an hour into CPR. Some even had clear memories, like remembering the moment their heart actually stopped.
And that just forces us to reconsider everything, doesn't it? Our whole understanding of consciousness, how tough the brain actually is. If you can have complex brain activity, maybe even memories, flickering back an hour after the heart stops, it suggests this sort of grace period for the brain that we just never knew existed.
Yeah.
It makes you ask, when does consciousness really end?
Incredible stuff. But, okay, how are they actually doing this? What are the tools enabling this potential death reversal? Parnia is working on these CPR cocktails, special drug combinations, things like epinephrine, metformin, vitamin C, vasopressin, sulbutamine, all designed to try and protect, maybe even restore brain tissue that's been damaged. And then there's this other technology, ECMO, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. You can think of it like an artificial heart and lungs outside the body. It keeps oxygen flowing even when the patient's own organs have failed.
Exactly. And these technologies are game changers, absolutely crucial, because they buy time. They create this window of opportunity that just wasn't there before. ECMO can give you hours, maybe days, time for those CPR cocktails, other interventions to potentially work. It extends that critical period where rescue might still be possible, turning what we thought was irreversible, well, maybe making it reversible.
The sheer audacity of it all. You see it in some animal studies, too. Really groundbreaking work. There was this Yale experiment, pretty dramatic stuff. They managed to revive pig brains, like cellular activity, some neural signals, up to 14 hours after the pigs were decapitated.
Which, raises a huge question for humans, right? If brain tissue in pigs can handle that kind of extreme ischemia, no blood flow, no oxygen for so long, what does that tell us about our own brains, about their resilience, their potential to recover even after being starved of oxygen for a long time? The implications for treating brain injury, stroke, cardiac arrest, they're really profound.
So yeah, what does this mean for us, for you, listening? Parnia himself, he's 52. And he's pretty open about not just accepting death as the end. He famously asked, if I have a heart attack and die tomorrow, why should I stay dead?
And that personal angle really drives home the bigger picture here. These advances, they're pushing the absolute limits of what we consider reversible death. Stuff that was pure sci-fi. It's creeping closer to actual medical practice. We could be looking at a total paradigm shift, where clinical death stops being the end and becomes, well, just another injury you can potentially treat. It's about fundamentally reframing life's end.
So what Parnia and his colleagues are doing, it's not just saving lives in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
They're actively trying to redefine dying itself, shifting it from this fixed point to something that maybe could be reversed. So here's a thought to leave you with. If clinical death does become a reversible injury, what happens then? Think about the changes to healthcare, to ethics, even how we understand life, consciousness, mortality itself. Definitely something to mull over.